We'll shift gears now to discuss the sociological aspects of the economy. Exactly what do sociologists mean when they use the word economy? It refers to the system of producing goods and services. Today, we live in a global economy where goods are easily produced in one region of the world, transported, and consumed in another. We have few national economic boundaries, though we don't always trade freely with all nations of the world. Economies have not always worked that way. We'll discuss the different kinds of economies that exist, which are actually based on the level of technology that a society has, whether it be pre-industrial, industrial, post-industrial, or what your text author terms a biotech society. Pre-industrial societies, meaning hunter-gatherer and strictly agrarian economies, have what would be known as a subsistence economy. This means that they basically make just enough to get by to live off of. Hunter-gatherer societies have the least amount of wealth or the least amount of excess goods. This is because hunting and gathering takes up almost all the members' time, and the accumulation of things is difficult when the group is on the move, which it must do in order to find food through the seasons and have enough to eat. When societies develop horticultural and pastoral technologies, and I'm referring there to the knowledge of how to grow and raise plants and livestock, then these societies move from a hunter-gatherer society to an agrarian society. This allows enough food to be produced so there's some excess, which allows for at least a minimal amount of material wealth. This then creates a situation of some people having more wealth than others. In other words, social inequality starts to occur. As wealth and excess accrues, it frees up time for people to do things other than just food production. This allows for specialized divisions of labor and also for trading of goods. And then this allows for some to become wealthier than others. And so social inequality increases even more. When societies develop power, and the first power to be routinely harnessed was the steam engine. This then allows for the society to become industrialized. Modern energy takes many different forms, but the Industrial Revolution was founded on the steam engine. Society started making even more goods, and the material surplus increased, making some members of society extremely wealthy. The surplus of goods also increased trading among nations. The steam engine drove the opening of factories and the exploitation of labor. One main shift in values was from the Protestant ethic of hard work, which was necessary in a more agrarian society, to that of conspicuous consumption. Those who were amassing wealth wanted to show it off, and conspicuous consumption allowed those that benefited in society to show off how much they were prospering. By the 1970s, a new type of society had emerged, the post-industrial society. This type of social order has 6 characteristics. A service sector so large that most people work in it, a vast surplus of goods, even more extensive trade among nations, a wider variety and quantity of goods available to the average person, an information explosion, and an interconnected global village. That is, the world's nations are linked by fast communications, transportation, and trade. This graph allows us to see how the workforce has changed during the past century. At the turn of the century, there were much fewer white-collar jobs. Because this was an industrial period, the majority of workers did blue-collar work, but there was also a considerable amount of farming. By the 1970s, there was a very small segment of the population that was engaged in farming labor, and the large majority of jobs were white-collar. As we move forward to present day, we see that the amount of farm work is fairly consistent in the past 40 years, but that the blue-collar jobs are still steadily declining and that white-collar work is still on the rise. Some theorists would say that society is still transforming into a new type of economy, which merges biology and economics, and that the knowledge about the human genome system may yield even more surpluses and more extensive trade. We may lead longer and healthier lives because of this. Some nations may be transformed and improve their economies, though not all may improve, and some may stay in poverty. There are two basic types of economic systems, capitalism and socialism. Each tends to create its own kind of ideology, meaning a belief system that people follow. Some people lean towards one system or the other, thinking that one has obvious advantages over the other. If one was highly superior to the other, we might think that people would agree on which side was better. We'll talk about all these points when we get to the next section.